Super excited for you guys to be here. We have a very special guest that you have seen in the program. A lot of you guys are asking to learn more about him. So his name is Dave Levine. He's going to be coming on in just a second. Just wanted to lay a little bit of ground rules first. My name is Alec. I'm the product manager here with Tai and help build out a lot of the curriculums that you guys are in the program, whether this is your first program or if you've done SMMA, the real estate and all that. So we're excited that you're here. And also, we want to make sure that you just know just a little of the ground rules when you do a live call like this, if it's your first one. So when you guys are asking questions, you don't want to get spammy. Don't spam the comments too much because our algorithm is that you'll get blocked. So we want you to stay on the live call. Just look down. The best way to get your questions answered, basically, is to look down at below the video. You can see a bunch of people just posting questions. If you see a question that's yours, that's exactly the one that you want, don't repost that question, just upvote theirs. Because on our end, we'll see your questions here too. So we want to make sure we answer good questions. So on that, keep your questions on the topic that Dave is talking about. Towards the end, save your questions if it's like random, like Dave, what's your favorite coin? What you looking forward to and all that? Just save for that for the very end, but keep your questions on topic. So we're excited for this one. There's gonna be on valuation models Dave's gonna be teaching about, and also what to look forward to for 2018. All right, so excited for this. Get ready, guys. We have Dave Levine coming on. You can check him out at davelevine.com. And last thing before we bring him on is that February 9th, we are having a Bitcoin crypto mastermind in person here in LA. So if you guys want to come to that, you guys could call our support number, which is 1-800, I'll write it up here real quick, 800-604-2587. So you can reach out there. Oh, you guys see that? Or if you guys remember your onboarding consultant, if you spoke with either Terry, who had a British accent, or Anton, or Nick, or RC, anyone that you guys spoke with to get into the Bitcoin program, just reach out to them. Be like, hey, I want to come to this live event because we're going to have cool speakers like Dave Levine there and other cool experts that are in the program too. So without further ado, I want to introduce Dave Levine for this call.
Thank you.
Yeah, man.
Hey. All right. Well, I'm excited because you guys inspired me. The most common question was, of course, the hardest. How do we value these things? And I didn't want to do it, but I had to. So I dug deep, and so the first thing that we got to realize is we are early, and these are big bets. We're talking about if it's Bitcoin becoming gold, total market cap of gold is 7 trillion. A lot of these bets people call it a binary investment or a binary bet, which is it either goes to zero or just doesn't really go anywhere, or it goes to the moon. So it's getting too specific, and it's difficult. We'll go through the valuation. Sometimes it's hard to come to what you would call an exact valuation. This stuff is difficult, and so the most important thing is to be right. But at the same time, valuation is important, and as time goes on, it gets more and more important. So you always want to be doing the best you can to come to real valuations. So the first question that a lot of people were talking about is market cap. What is it? So first thing, just simply the market cap for coins. And remember, stocks are different than cryptocurrency ecosystems. Within cryptocurrency, market cap is the number of coins that are circulating times the price. So if there are 1,000 coins all at $1, the market cap is $1,000. So in order to determine the market cap, so these are the three terms that people have been asking about that you want to know. The circulating, the total, and max supply. So circulating are the coins that are currently out there now. The grand total is the total that it can be. So for example, Bitcoin the limit created will be 12 million, but more are being mined. So right now, I don't have the exact circulating supply, and some have been lost. That's another factor, but how many are circulating? It'll be 12 million total created, and for some max supply, they can go further. So let me compare. I'm going to compare Stellar, Ethereum, and Bitcoin market cap, and how. Or I'm sorry. Well, first on the supply and then the market cap. So we have, and they each have different models. Oh my God, I spelled that. Is it 2 L's? Yeah, okay. And we've got our Ethereum, and we have our BTC. So, Stellar has 100 billion coins pre-mined. They're already made. There's no mining with Stellar. So you have 100 billion. Ethereum has about 100 million. And it's not capped. They're still mining new ones. And the thing about Ethereum is they're sort of running it like a software business. Right now, it's sort of, I think they're going to have 1% inflation. When they move to proof of stake, the amount of coins created, the whole system changes. They're sort of adaptive and trying to take it as it goes. It's not in their interest to make tons of coins and lower the value. The value of Ethereum secures the network. They don't want to do anything that's going to screw up the value. So I don't think you have to worry about them just printing a bunch of coins. But the number and the total value is changing. Bitcoin, the total is 12 million. So, all things being equal, so if Bitcoin, oh boy, I hope I don't mess up the math here. If Bitcoin is $1,000 and all things are equal, let's say this was 10 million. Say 2 million Bitcoins have been lost, right? So that means that there's 10 times as many Ethereum. If all things are equal, a $1,000 Bitcoin has the same market cap as $100 in Ethereum. And all things being equal, so 100 million to 100 billion, is that 3 decimal points? I hope I got this math right. This is where we'll get the, so that would be 10 cents, right? $100. If you move the decimal point over 3 places, it's 10 cents. So in other words, because there's more coins to have the same market cap, you're going to have these different prices. I guess if we have questions, are there any questions right now on like, does this make sense? Are people with me here?
Yeah, refreshing.
Well, if that's confusing, we'll come back maybe if you look at the questions, just anything on market cap. Because now the next question is, what do we do? You look at the market caps. The bottom line is market cap is the total value. The price of the coin is not the price that you care about. It's the total market cap. Why do we want to know market cap? Because, well, one reason is we can use that to compare valuations, at least between similar platforms. So, for example, I've talked about, or at least on my YouTube, you've got Stellar versus Ripple. Now, these have a lot of differences, but, they were created by the same person. They're both a very similar network. They're both going after sort of international payments and remittance. They're relatively similar. So then you can determine, like for me, I like Stellar more than Ripple. Now, and I have nothing against Ripple. They may be very successful. I like Stellar more, but when I look at the market cap of Ripple is 10x higher. So the question is, if you like Ripple, is it 10 better than Stellar? And maybe it is. I don't know. For me, I feel like, well, I actually like this one more. So I use the market cap. That gives me a little more confidence. For example, if you love, let's say you're like, I like Bitcoin and I like this, and Bitcoin's market cap is already high, that means it's more expensive. So another one you can compare, I think, is you have BTC with, for example, similar ones. And there are several sort of clones out there. For those who don't know the symbols, of course, Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Litecoin. So this is a fork of Bitcoin. It's not the same. They have the bigger block size, but it's similar. Litecoin was, I don't think it was a fork. They took the open source software and made changes to it and relaunched it. These are all similar. So the market cap differences I don't have offhand, but you can look it up. I go to this cryptocompare.com. They show you the market caps of all the coins. So if Bitcoin Cash is, I'll tell you what, I'm going to look at it right now. So I tried to do as much research before the show as I could, but can't remember it all. Oh shoot, it doesn't show it on one screen on my phone. but I'm just going to look up Bitcoin Cash. The market cap is 40, and Bitcoin market cap is 281. So what is that? 7 times? So do you think, so Bitcoin's market cap is 7 times greater than Bitcoin Cash. Do you think Bitcoin, and if they're going for similar markets, do you like Bitcoin Cash 7 times more than, Bitcoin 7 times more than Bitcoin Cash? Same, you can do the comparison with Litecoin. For the sake of time, I'm not going to look it up, but the bottom line is when there are similars, you can compare. And the other thing you can compare is number of transactions. So let's dig into transactions because this gets tricky. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Transactions. So for example, if there are 2 platforms that are doing similar things, the one that has more transactions of that is more valuable, right? They're doing more business or adding more value to the world. Now, okay, let me talk about the different things with transactions here because it gets tricky. So there's just the number of transactions. And there's another thing that's sort of developing, I think, this year is an important thing to look at is on-chain versus side-chain. So on-chain, so you have the blockchain and things going directly in the blockchain. But in order to have fast payment processing, which is something I'm going to talk about as coming in 2015, 2018, or coming soon, is actually using payments at retail locations, and it needs to be instant. On-chain is typically slow. Bitcoin's 10 minutes for a real confirmation. Ethereum's faster, 15 seconds, but still it's slow for the store. So there's a system called side chains where you're able to do transactions faster. If people want me to explain what side chains are, I can do that for a minute. Maybe ask that as a question. I'll get to it later. But there's the reason I mention that is a couple things. One is to look at, when you look at how many transactions there's on-chain, but you're going to have to start looking at the side chains. And they're sort of different and the growth rates of those. But you want to come up with a total number of transactions. And the other question, though, with your transactions is what is the value of the transactions? You know what? How about TXS for transactions? So what is the value of the transactions? In other words, if one platform is doing 1 million transactions a day and they're all, up or down votes on cat videos, great, but that's not as valuable as maybe 100,000 transactions a day of $1 billion or more for international trade. So what is the value of the transactions? So how many and what are their value and how does that compare to the market cap? Let's see, did I have anything else with transactions? Well, of course, you also have the speed, and security, I guess, is maybe a different issue. Anything else with, and then there's privacy is another issue, whether you can do privacy and how fast and expensive that is. That's a whole other area that's developing. But you get totals and data on transactions and compare that to market caps. That's another valuation model. And again, right here, we haven't been getting to, what is the exact value? If nothing else, so far what we've been doing is sort of to do a comparison versus other things to come up with valuations compared to what else is out there. Similarly, let's talk about probably the easiest valuation model out there that they're talking about on Wall Street is Bitcoin as digital gold. So now gold is, I believe, gold, let's say, I believe it's $7.5 trillion. is the market cap of gold, okay? All the ounces, there's so many ounces of gold out there, it has a certain price, you multiply it together, you come up with the market cap for gold. If Bitcoin is the new gold, well, first of all, what percentage of market share do you think Bitcoin gets? So let's say that we decide gold is an old relic and Bitcoin is going to be, it's going to take over like 80% of gold, of store value. I'm just picking out numbers just to do the math, because part of your valuation is at some point you're going to make a guess. Well, how much of gold will it take? Let's just say that Bitcoin gets like 80% of the gold market, and that means that BTC would equal 5 trillion in value, right? And right now it's only 300 billion. Now you may say, oh, you know what? I think it's only going to be 10% of the gold market. So that's 750 billion. Again, today I think it's 250 billion. Did I just do that? Well, whatever it is, then it's, in other words, the price, if it's going to be replace 10% of gold storage, then its price should go up to 10% of this 7 trillion. Anything else I want to say on that? No. So that's sort of the easiest example, because gold is easy to value. If you're assuming Bitcoin, that's all it does. Now, Bitcoin, on the other hand, you know, one thing I'm sort of realizing lately, I've thought Bitcoin doing payments, geez, it's never going to happen because it's 10 minutes for a confirmation. But side chains, this Lightning network, is going to make it so Bitcoin may be able to used for payments. So if you're saving it at your store of value, you have a percentage of the gold market, or maybe even the dollar saving market. But then if you're also spending it, that's another use case. So what is the total market of money being spent? But anyways, that's the goal. That's the Bitcoin / gold valuation. All right, next. So then for other examples, now this one, it gets more tricky. So Stellar. So Stellar's platform, as much as I've studied it and looked at, you know, it's hard to wrap my head around all of the things it can or is doing. One area I know they're going for is remittance, meaning people in another country sending money back home. That market, I looked up on the internet, is 575 billion. So 575 billion is remittance. So again, what percentage of this market can Stellar grab? If they get, let's say they got 10% to make it easy, that's 57 billion, 0.5, 50, so now, so that means 57 billion worth of transactions going on the Stellar network. But the question is, do they use the Stellar coin, XML, lumens? Do they use lumens for all of these transfers? I was surprised when IBM said, for now, they're using Stellar lumens on all transfers. In other words, on the Stellar network, you can transfer sort of any two currencies. You can trade Korean won for cryptocurrencies. You don't have to use Stellar lumens, but they do use it as a bridge currency, and it looks like a lot of remittance will be using Stellar lumens. But let's just say, you know, let's just do 50. Let's do 50%. That's, now we're at 25 billion of transactions a year in lumens. But what, so that's how much is being used, but still, what does that make the value of each, how does that relate to the market cap? And the market cap right now, I think we're at 17 billion. So the question is, you know, to get down to an exact value, even if we knew all this, the way I sort of look at it is, well, if this coin is being used to facilitate $25 billion a year in transactions, and the market cap is about equal to that, I mean, that seems reasonable. To figure out, you know, I think to go a little deeper here and figure out, you know, you almost need another model to sort of take it further. And this is just one of the examples. And the bottom line is this research stuff gets deep. Once Wall Street sort of figures out what's going on and they get research analysts digging in deep here, this stuff is going to get tricky, and sort of you're going to need to read research reports to really understand what's happening. So that's another thing to look at. And do we have any questions? Are people, I don't know if I'm over heads or, I guess there's questions here. Is there any most upvoted question or anything before I go on? Okay. Now, another thing to value is, I like platforms more than just coins. To me, it's just a coin that works and you can send it places. It becomes a commodity. I'm not that interested in those. I like platforms. The value of a platform is the value of all the companies built on it. So, platform value, let's say that equals value of businesses on it. So for example, if the Ethereum platform has, a company managing identity, for the world, and another platform has, a business that's doing the CryptoKitties, the value of the whole network depends on the value that the businesses are giving to the world from it. Now, I don't mean to disparage CryptoKitties. It's fun, it's cool, but you can imagine, as far as value to our lives, being able to secure privacy versus, figuring out what cat you breed. They're different values. And so, and that's something to watch. And at this point, it's early enough. To me, for Ethereum, you want to see that just businesses that are growing and have a decent growth rate. And I guess you pay a little bit of attention to, is it just for fun or is it really adding value? So for example, on Ethereum, OMG is launching a payment processing platform. They're doing it on this side chain. What kind of transaction value, how many transactions does that do? That could add great value to the network. And then you have storage. Well, they're just using the coin, so that's different, I guess. That's another app that Ethereum has been successful with has been the EC20 tokens, people using Ethereum for their token. So how many businesses are using those? So the bottom line is it's similar to transactions and value, but with a platform, it's not just the number of transactions and this and that, it's what type of businesses are built on it. Okay, and then, two things. Okay, we're getting through this. I feel like I might be rushing because I was worried I'm not going to get all the info to you. How long have we been already? Okay, 25 minutes. That is a bit. Okay, another thing, this I should have said when I was talking about supply for market cap, is, so regarding, I guess, coin distribution. Coin distribution matters. Who holds the coins? So you want a distributed, one extreme would be, one person holds all the coins. That would not be good. You want it distributed. You want developers who are working on the code to own the coins. That's in a way they're being paid and motivated by being invested in the coin. Obviously miners, but you want some distributed miners. You don't want one big miner. You want it sort of decentralized. Who else is there? Sometimes there's a treasury for funding, marketing, and other things. And the other thing, so with Stellar Lumens, another point, Stellar Lumens and Ripple pre-mined. So they have a bunch of coins that they're going to give out. And, some people worry about this as to, well, who are they going to give them to? What are they going to do? The governance for Stellar looks good. IBM approved it. And their objective, and I'm sure Ripple's objective as well, is to give coins to partners who will develop the ecosystem. When IBM was deciding to come on board, I'm sure they offered a bunch of lumens to IBM for doing that. So, you want to look at the distribution and the future distribution, and the people who own a lot of the coins is also part of the circulation and can affect the market cap. A market cap can be artificially high if a few people are sort of hoarding it. That can also be a threat too if they decide to sell it. Okay, I think, last thing about, there are some coins, utility coins, which are sort of like tokens that you use to use the business. So for example, I'm not 100% sure with salt, but you have to buy a salt token in order to get a loan. The price of that token can't go to $1 million because you use it to buy. I mean, if Tai had a Tai token and it allowed you to buy courses, I mean, it couldn't go to $1 million because then the course would be too expensive, although you could divide it. But the bottom line is some of these coupon and utility tokens may hold their value, may have value, but sometimes if you have to get a token, there's ones where you have to, for ticket buying, and you need the token in order to trade tickets on the platform. Well, no one's going to spend that much money because they're just buying tickets. Do you know what I'm saying? So some of these utility tokens, and the basic question you have to ask yourself is, just because a business is valuable, a lot of people talking about this with Ripple right now, and is that, well, the business Ripple may do great, but the coin won't. I'm not saying it won't. I like Ripple, the coin. It all looks very good at this point, certainly the price. But that is a question. Or sometimes I see people say, oh, that business is great, but if you're buying the coin, you're not buying a stock. If you think the Ripple business is great and the coin you don't know about, you want to buy the stock in Ripple's company and not the coin, right? So just because a business is good, just because something is great, it might not be a great or valuable coin. So keep that in mind as well. Okay, I think that's all I wanted to go through on valuation models. What do we have for questions here? Okay, Dave, you mentioned tracking the transactions for how big and how often they happen. Do you mean through the block explorers of cryptos and calculating the coins? Or is it volume for 24 hours? So, first of all, just getting the data, sometimes it's tricky. I mean, where do you get the data? Not all coins, and if you can't get any data, maybe it's not a good thing to invest in, But as far as where to find it, we said block explorers. There's bitinfocharts.com has a few coins. It's got some data. It's pretty good. Stellar has one page for its own transactions. You try to find these things. That question, is that gone? Because now I remember that I forgot the second part of that question. It was, calculate. So as far as dollar to BTC, well, when you talk dollar, the reality is, I think nothing is priced in Bitcoin. When you think of what it costs to buy a house or a car or lunch, you're thinking in dollars. So when I think to do all your calculations, it's like math. You want to use the same format, so you want to use one. I use dollars for calculating everything because dollar is what everything is priced in right now. If you try to do it all in Bitcoin, you can, but it's bouncing around. And if you're thinking, how do I compare that to lunch? You don't know offhand what the heck how much Bitcoin. It's 0.0000 whatever for lunch. So I think it's easier to convert stuff into dollars. Do you think Ripple is overvalued? I don't. I think regarding Ripple and Stellar, I think they're relatively similar. I think they can both be very successful. I think there's a chance of failure for either of them, or at least, who knows. My thing is that I think that Ripple versus Stellar's price is like this, and I think they come more in line. Does that mean that Stellar shoots up faster, or does it mean Ripple comes down? I don't know. But I think the two come closer in line. That I know. Right now, everything's gone up a lot recently. I think we're in the phase, I sort of remember this with the internet bubble. We're sort of, there's enough people who think that the dream will come true that every investment has the rosy scenario valuation on it. And eventually time will tell, and the losers will lose, and the winners will win, and the losers come down, and at first even the winners will come down with it, and then, but right now everything is priced high. But if you're right, it's more important to be right. If Ripple's story comes true, in the long run, it's not expensive. But anyways, okay. EOS Ethereum. I want to go into that. I'm going to go deep into the whole smart contract 2.0 in 2018. Let's hold on that for a minute, and EOS is part of that. I'll get to that in a minute. Thoughts on Stellar dipping lately and Coinbase announcement regarding Ripple. Don't follow rumors ever. There's a rumor that they're going to add Ripple. That is a reason to not buy. That means it's overvalued. You're not on. We listen to experts. What is Tai all about? We listen to experts. A rumor is not an expert. So that means there's a slight valuation problem if it's up because of that, and you don't buy because of that. As far as Stellar dipping lately, when something goes from 30 cents to 90 cents, I'm sorry, probably 20 cents to 90 cents in like 2 weeks, I'm not thinking about dipping. But as I say, I have a new video going up on Tai's course. I just did because people were asking about, we're not traders, but we want to buy strategically, meaning you don't buy when it's at just a crazy top. And so I made this video yesterday, and I said, so it went up to 90 cents. That is not the day you want to be selling, and not because 90 is high, just if it was up like 30% 3 days in a row, like that's not the day you want to buy. Came down, it was like 70 yesterday. Here's the thing, everybody's situation is different. How much money do you have in dollars that you want to convert to crypto? Your dollar cost averaging in each month, you want to put in so much. And then how much Stellar do you want to own, and how much do you own already? If you have no money in crypto and you have nothing in Stellar and you really believe in it, you want to buy more than somebody like me who has, if I have a lot of Stellar, like it's distorted my whole portfolio, I'm not going to buy anymore, right? So it depends on your situation. Now, if you want to accumulate some, you want to buy, so it was at 70 yesterday, today it's down to 60. I like to buy, if I wanted more, I'd say, okay, I could buy a little today, but I hope it goes to 50 tomorrow because then I'll get the rest of my buy-in. And maybe you get lucky and the thing touches 40 cents. And you always just have to be, and it could just sit at some low point for a while. So always be scared, but you want to buy. It was down 20% yesterday, 10% today. This is when, if you've never bought any and you want to own a little, today is a day when you might buy a little. But have that feeling of hope that it's down tomorrow. Also helps you sleep better. Okay, well, XRP is praised, low transaction fees. Fees are tied to the cost of the coin. I'm wondering, how can we, so bottom line is that on Stellar, the transaction fee is 0.00003, but you have to have a cost to prevent spam. I don't want to that question was a little deep into the Ripple. I have a video on my YouTube, youtube.com/davelevine.com, where I did Ripple versus Stellar. Goes into detail. I don't want to get too into that right now. If total coin's 100 billion, for Lumens to hit even $3, it would be a 300 billion market cap. Yes. Let alone the projection of it going 10 to, yeah, listen. How successful, if the dream story of Stellar success comes true, you're talking about trillions. So it's cheap. If it doesn't happen, what's it worth? According to this, you're saying if it hits $3, it's 300 billion. Yeah. And so what is it today? It's at 60 cents. So if it goes up, I'm sorry, what is that? Another 500%? If it goes up 500%, it would be that. Like, for those of you who are new to investing, we used to believe that 30% in a year was a good thing. Like, everybody also is very focused on how high can it go. Remember to think about how low can it go, because you don't want to lose all your money. Like, just take it easy, and if you think 300 billion is only going to $3 is not enough for you, just make sure you get a chair when the music stops with all the craziness with the ICOs and the coin of the week. I get everybody asking me. Okay, what other question we got? Exchange, anything else on valuation? Because I have a whole nother thing here on what's going on in 2018, unless there's anything else about valuation. Coins are sold in the safety of our homes. Security is a thing. There's new stuff in the news about security. I got to come out with a new video on it. If you saw this stuff about Spectre and what was that called? Something Meltdown and Spectre. Read about that. Brand new. I got to change my whole storage video. It's not an emergency. It's not like, but it sort of changes the equation. Okay, I say we go to, so upvotes, if there are any of those old votes that you guys like, upvote them for the next questions. I want to now go through 2018. What is happening? And I want to start with this topic, very exciting topic, smart contract 2.0. Okay, the battle is on. We have, Ethereum, Cardano, Neo, who else? I'm sorry. IOTA. I believe there's another. Oh, EOS, of course, yes. All right. And there's more. I'll talk about that in a minute, but the bottom line is, Ethereum was like 4 years ago, 2014, 3 years ago, whatever it is. And this year, all of these will launch smart contracts 2.0, okay? Now, I only count platforms that are actually decentralized. There may be value to permissioned, closed systems, but that's not for me. I'm all about decentralized. That's why I got into this. I like decentralization. I think it's a bigger story, and that's my thing. So Neo is not decentralized. Is there an abbreviation, decentralized? How's that? Neo is not decentralized. I don't even see what the plan, I don't know what the plan is for it. I tried to go to its website today and was down. Like, for me, I'm a little, I think Neo, I don't even think it's a serious project, to be honest with you. People might want to kill me for that. But until it launches decentralized, I'm not buying it. Maybe that'll happen this year. It might be just hard to get information because it's all in Chinese, but I don't know what's happening and when they're launching. IOTA is also not decentralized, and I don't know of when it will be. And I haven't heard, IOTA is another one that I just, I'm not a believer. With anything, I'm not a believer. I'm not trying to be a hater, and I'm not, as soon as I discover I'm wrong, I will change my mind and I'll buy the thing. But I'm just telling you what I've seen so far. It's not decentralized. It needs to get there. So I'm not a believer in these. Now, if in 2018, one of these launches, and it's decentralized, then it's in the race. Great. I'm trying to, who's going to be the winner? So I'm not even sure these guys are going to finish the race. If they do, we'll see. Then we have Cardano, which I just listened. There's this crypt with an O, zero for the, the number 0 for the O in crypto. And he just had the Hopkins on for over an hour. I listened to it. The only way I believe in Cardano is if they have some competitive advantage that Ethereum can't copy. That's a whole long story. I don't see it. When they launch, they're way behind Ethereum, okay? So we'll see. Eventually, they will launch and be totally, right now they believe they're on a test net. Eventually, it'll be launched and decentralized, and we will see how that goes. EOS, to me, is interesting because at least they're different than Ethereum. Ethereum's thing is totally decentralized. Vitalik Buterin hates master nodes, meaning he doesn't even want it to be just thousands of nodes. Like, he wants it to be everybody on a laptop can run the whole network. It's about as decentralized as you can get. EOS wants to be run from 21 data centers. It's decentralized. Is there a problem with it being only 21 data centers? Maybe, I don't know. But it's a different structure, and it is easier. So now, EOS is not launching for a year. But when they do launch, so 21 data centers, which is the same abbreviation as decentralized, because they have, because they're more centralized. It's not one data center, which would be centralized. It's 21, so it technically is decentralized, and it's easier to be fast and have advantages on that platform than it is on what Ethereum is doing. So maybe when EOS launches, plus having $1 billion, which EOS does, they can pay developers to come on. So maybe when EOS launches as a decentralized platform, I don't think they get big people coming on until it's sort of the decentralization is at least close to launching, which I'm guessing is in about a year. Because they're launching from, I believe, one data center in June. So, but this is the interesting thing to watch. Now, what about Ethereum? A lot of people take this assumption that Ethereum is just, it is what it is. No. Watch their video on sharding. Vitalik's video, Ethereum 2.0, talks about sharding and what they are going to do. I don't know the exact timing. I don't know if it's exactly this year, but Ethereum will launch several new platforms. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know the type is exactly a year, but eventually they're going to launch 5 different platforms that are sort of connected to the main chain. So they're sort of experimenting with different methods. Not saying they're going to copy any of these, but proof of stake and a lot of the other things they're testing, they're going to test in these separate universes. And if one does really well, then they will merge it with the main chain. So Ethereum is also coming out with brand new platforms this year, and maybe several. The other thing to keep in mind is Ethereum. I'm going to give you some numbers that it's a little bit rounded out. It's not exact because you got to look when you look at charts. But when Ethereum launched, it had 5,000 transactions a day. Wait, I'm sorry. Wait, 2015, where are we now? I'm going to work backwards so I get the years. So it's 2017. We ended with 500,000 transactions a day. In 2016, they were doing 50,000 transactions a day. In 2015, they were doing 5,000 a day. I see a pattern. I think that next year, Ethereum does 5 million transactions a day. And why wouldn't they? Just today, it's over 1.4 million. It's going straight up. And if you include side chains, and OMG is slightly successful, I mean, and I don't want to just put it on OMG, but I think this number is doable. Maybe they won't. And like I said, you got to include side chain transactions. So in other words, a year from now, when these guys launch, they're all at the starting line. Ethereum's already doing 5 million a day. And growing at, what is that, 1,000? 5 to 50, what is that, 10x, growing 10x a year. So this is a tough horse to race. And now that's not to say that EOS can't be successful, but the whole Ethereum killer story is a little, let's all calm down. I don't think anyone's killing Ethereum anytime soon. As long as they're growing at 1,000% a year, it's going to be tough. You got to remember, you got to catch before you pass and kill. So we take it easy. Can you explain decentralized? Okay, centralized means you have one entity in charge. So when you have a bank that holds your money, you're in Bank of America decides if you can take your money out. Like if they say no, they're not going to give it to you, and you can't go to somebody else and say, hey, Bank of America owes me. I mean, I guess if they broke the law, you go to the, but when something is decentralized, there are multiple places in charge. Let me explain it maybe what's a better, I had a good way to explain it, and I can't remember right now. So for serving files on the internet, if the files all come from one server, that's centralized. If you can grab data from lots of different servers, that's decentralized. The internet, when you there's not one, who's in charge of the internet? There's no one place. It's the information is distributed all around the world on all these different computers and goes in different directions. It doesn't come from one source down to everybody. If you request information, it bounces all over the place. I'm gonna make a video eventually because I should be able to explain decentralization easy. Oh, there's a great book. Brock Pierce actually recommended it that I read, and it was written before Bitcoin. Is it a spider or is it a starfish? And I'll quote Brock here. If you cut off a spider's leg, do you know what happens? It limps. If you cut off 2 legs, do you know what happens? It probably can't move. If you cut off its head, it dies. If you cut off a starfish's leg, what happens? It grows back. If you cut a starfish anywhere through the center, you get 2 starfish. Starfishes are decentralized, spiders are centralized. Okay, this was a smart contract. Before we go on, any other? I've been having an issue with my Ether wallet. I type it in. Wow. Then you don't have. Make sure you don't confuse. So someone's having trouble logging in using their private key. First of all, don't confuse public key and private key. Okay, there are 2 keys. Public you can give away. Private do not give to anybody unless you really trust them because they have control of your stuff. If you lose your private key, or in this case, someone's saying it's not working, if you screwed it up, there's no way to recover your money. Okay, you've got to be organized with this stuff. So if you lost your private key, you got a problem. I'm going to make another video on storage because I now think that maybe the hardware storage is going to be a better solution, at least for now. But we'll get into that later. Sorry.
Just going to make one quick announcement.
Yes.
Okay. Just about the event real quick.
Okay.
Yeah. Hope you guys are loving this talk. This is super awesome. I know you guys are asking a lot of great questions. So our phones has been blowing up since we just mentioned that quick master plan that's coming up on February 9th. So if you guys want to come to that, just one quick thing. Actually, I'll just write it right here. So subject line, this is a little bit better. It's more systematic, so you guys can reach out. I know you guys are calling too much, so make your subject line just February. I spelled this wrong. February, Bitcoin, event. So if you guys want to come to that, it's February 9th. Type in for your subject line if you want to email support@tailopez.com, February Bitcoin event, and then we could filter it out so that way our onboarding consultant can reach out to you. But also, this one is going to be February 9, right? Also in LA. But then January 20th, even sooner, in a couple weeks, we're having a mentor conference here in LA. So if you want to come to that, it's mentor10 is the / after tailopez.com. So tailopez.com. Mentor10. Hope you guys can see that. Mentor10. And it's also on the link on this video too. So Mentor10, if you want to come to January 20th, we're going to have a Bitcoin
And you know what? I've made millions of dollars. Relatively smart guy. Every time I've been to a Tai Lopez mentor thing, I have walked away with one thing that seriously has been very, very valuable. I'm not being paid anything by Tai. I'm not saying that. Tai has actually helped me. That's why I'm happy to give a props out there. You know, there's always something. He throws out a lot of content, and there's always at least one nugget that I've gotten. So
yes. So we're gonna have some Bitcoin covered on there too. So check that out.
And the Bitcoin show, of course, will be fabulous.
Yes. Cool.
A Bitcoin party, that is. Okay. So now we have a little more time here. So let's see if there's any other new tax. Okay. Maybe I'll talk about tax for a second when I'm done here. Let me just quickly go through what else to look for in 2018, developments that'll be happening. So one thing is payment processing. Will this ever happen? Will we be able to buy in stores or online with a cryptocurrency? Maybe we're going to see something this year. OMG is supposed to launch its platform. You know, until something launches, I don't like to get too excited, but it looks like in the second quarter they're launching something. The holy grail for the payment processing, the problem is you have a chicken and egg problem in that, you know, what merchant is going to accept a cryptocurrency, you know, if no one has it, and who's going to have like a wallet with a cryptocurrency to spend if no merchants accept it? So you've got this chicken and egg problem. People are working on it. If someone is going to win this game, they're going to come out with something that's really easy for the merchant to put it at checkout on their website. It's going to be super inexpensive, like transaction fee is like nothing. There's no risk of fraud, and fast, instant solution. So a lot of people working on it. This year we may see some things launch. They may all be duds and it's not ready, or they say they're launching, but it's like not really there. You have OMG, you have Dash, Evolution. I guess I'll write it. I don't know what that's going to look like, but that's what they're working on. And now that we have Lightning Network on Bitcoin, that allows people to build this sort of thing. So OMG is on a side chain, and Lightning Network allows people to do faster transactions on a side chain using Bitcoin. People are working on it now. Maybe something on the Lightning Network for BTC launches. I would keep an eye on this. For me, also as a business person, it's like if I see a payment acceptance platform launch that's easy, looks like a winner, I'm going to put it on my website right away. You may have a period of time where you can sort of, it's a business opportunity to sort of help businesses put that on. So I'm keeping my eye on for that. Next thing is Wall Street is coming. Wall Street is coming. This is big sums of money. It's also Wall Street brains and analysis. They may pick winners and losers, or pick a winner and so much money goes to it that it creates losers that they don't pick. Very important. Now, I don't know, it's like, what's his name? Rob Novogratz. Is that, he's got that video, The Herd is Coming. I don't know, is it going to be one herd all of a sudden? But a lot of money is coming and a lot of brains and technical analysis. The fundamentals I just did, I mean, it's hard to find anything as good fundamental analysis right now, as what I'm doing. But when Wall Street gets into it, they're going to research circles around me because, they get teams of people who will work all day, 80 hours a week on this stuff. So watch for that because the winners and losers will change. And what will they do? They may, banks may come out with their own, or Wall Street, they may come out with their own thing. They may pick existing winners, or again, Rob, I think it's Novogratz, he's saying, he thinks, to start, they're all just going to Bitcoin. This Wall Street may mean BTC. And I'm becoming a little bit more, I got a little down on Bitcoin. I'm starting to see, at least it's a longer term. Sure, I was like, this thing's going to be dead in 5 years because I didn't understand sidechains. I'll be talking more about that another time. But so Wall Street, that is also important to watch. Next thing is blockchain biz opportunities. So what's going to happen is there's opportunities not just to hold your coin, but to sort of help, and it's almost like a job. For example, proof of stake. If you stake your coins and you run a node and you earn more and more coins for doing that. That's one form. It's a type of business opportunity. Some of these things, it's just like, oh, you put it in a wallet, you make money. But some, I think, I'm looking at OMG and what are they doing for staking? You're going to have to run a node and you set the transaction level. And you're going to have to, I'm not saying it's a hard business, but it's sort of like running a business and then you make interest. Augur, so I guess I'll just write down there. Staking. Then Augur, I don't know if they'll be successful per se. I think it might have just launched or soon. But as an example of the type of thing, they have a thing where, so it's a betting, you can bet on anything, and if you own the Augur coin, you then can have a job to go out and determine, someone bet that, Trump is going to tweet something stupid, and after that happens, your job may be to go and say whether he tweeted it or not to determine the results of the vote. And then you'll get, for voting properly, you will be rewarded in more tokens. So that's a bit of a job. Once a month, you go in and you say who won different bets. Storage, or any, there's other computer, renting out computer power. Storage is so you have a hard drive with so many gigabytes, you're not using them all, so you tell storage, hey, I'm going to give you 20 gigabytes, and then people store stuff on your computer. It's all encrypted. You can't see what it is. Nobody can see what it is, but it's on your computer, and you get paid more tokens for doing that. Just like mining has been the business sort of the blockchain since the beginning, but there's these other new businesses coming. And then you have ones that just pay dividends. There's 10x. They're going to give a percentage of all the transactions. There's this one, I was looking at a casino company that you give them the money, they use it for backing up, paying out bets, and then they share a percentage of the profits with you. That's, by the way, that one is CSNO. I'm just following it. I wouldn't put my thing is, if we start getting payments, if you're doing any of these, invest very little. Do the business and then see your return. If you only put in $100 and then the staking is an interest of 40% a year, or with storage you're making, $10 a month. Ooh, that's awesome. Then, maybe you buy another computer or you buy more storage or whatever it is. But so with 10x, they're going to pay out on it. So I own a teeny bit. Someday they're going to pay a dividend. And I'm going to look at it and see the percentage. If they pay out a lot and this thing is growing, well, then I would buy more. Then you invest in it. But these are things to look at. How are we doing for time here? Okay, I think we're going a little over, but the other trend for 2018, I think, commodity coins disappoint. Did I spell that? Is it two? No, one S, right? Oh my God, I can't spell. Some sort of disappoint there. By commodity, so just the definition, commodity is something you can get it anywhere. And it doesn't matter. Like, water is a commodity. I mean, I don't care if I drink Crystal Geyser or I drink whatever other company makes water, right? Dasani, it doesn't matter. It's water. As opposed to, the Tai Lopez show is not a commodity. Where else are you going to get this kind of quality content? So something that is unique, that is not a commodity, holds a higher value. Because you have less competition, you can sort of charge more than, although Tai compared to colleges is a lot cheaper. But anyways, but you also have more lasting value, and I think it's a better investment when something is unique and valuable rather than valuable but everybody has it. So coins, that all they do, it's great. They use the blockchain, it's secure, you can send it to someone relatively inexpensively, they have a little bit of privacy of some kind. The new thing now, it's like the coin of the week is the coin that works, that has a little privacy. Every week, everybody emails me. On the last week it was Verge. This week it's, I can't remember which one. I can't even, these are boring to me. And Litecoin too it's just a coin. Even I think Charlie Lee said I think there's so many coins. And even, so like Ethereum, which has a bigger use case, it's securing the Ethereum network, which is the platform. You can use it as a coin, right? So I think that something, if all it is a coin, especially if it's small, I don't see much value in it. Doesn't mean they'll all go to zero, but I don't think these go up. I don't. Someday I think that the excitement on these runs out. I don't know. It's probably not going to be, when I say 2018, we've got to at least wait a few months because everybody loves every new coin right now. But I don't think that lasts forever. And also, I think I mentioned earlier, XLM and Stellar and Ripple, I think, come more in line with each other. I would think. I just think they're too similar, and Stellar being great to this one being 10x higher. Mining. So proof Proof of stake. One thing I would take time to study, I'm sure you've studied some of the basics, what distributed ledger is, and ledgers are kept, they're kept updated. All the ledgers are on the entire blockchain for whatever network you're using are kept all the same in some sort of real time. This is done with Bitcoin with proof of work. Originally all we had was proof of work. Now there's different systems out there. Proof of stake is sort of the hot new way. And one of the reasons is you don't need all the energy that you need for proof of work, and it's less expensive, and it's faster. Ethereum is moving to proof of stake. You know, so right now, Ethereum is 100% proof of work. They're going to start with this sharding. They're going to create a little universe that's using proof of stake. See how that goes. Then maybe they create another universe, and then things are kind of working. So then they convert this over, and eventually Ethereum, there may always be some proof of work, but it could be 80% of Ethereum is proof of stake instead of proof of work, meaning that, so the supply, so mining, I believe, now mining is an interesting business, and I'm not an expert in miner, but I'll just say this one point, which is, if you have so many computers doing mining right now, and the amount of transactions that needs to use mining goes down so that more is done by proof of stake, the profitability that you're able to get from the same amount of computers on fewer transactions gets cut. And meanwhile, everybody's piling into mining. So I am scared of mining. I'm scared of mining in 2018. I think we've had quite a run here. It's been easy. Sort of anybody can make money. And if proof of stake starts growing, now granted, even if proof of stake grows, if the proof of work stuff still is kind of growing. But I think, be careful. Any business is not always super profitable. I'm a little nervous about mining. I wouldn't invest right now. Also, sometimes some of the phone calls I'm getting from people who are ready to invest a lot of money in mining are people who don't usually get it right. You know what I'm saying? So then two other things here. I've got people asked about stocks. Will this affect anything in the stock market? So first of all, I don't think there's talk of sort of doing some of the things that Facebook does. And what's his, Mark Zuckerberg just talked about. He's exploring how he could sort of decentralize or use some of this technology in his company. But these companies that are starting from scratch to replace Facebook, Google, YouTube, maybe someday, you know, it may, but I don't think you'll see that in 2018. These things are just barely launching, and the existing guys are huge. So I don't think you see anything this year with the big incumbents being hurt by anything blockchain. I think possibly, now if I'm right about Stellar, it may help IBM. I wanted to do more research. I think IBM got like 5 billion lumens from the deal, which is now worth, let's say if it goes to $1, that's $5 billion all of a sudden. As big as IBM is, these numbers could start to look big to the point that people, it may help IBM stock. Now I'm not going to buy IBM stock because I'm already got the lumens, right? But just to throw it out there. Also, I think Cisco, the fog. So the whole thing in the past was the cloud, which Cisco didn't play that great. But the new thing with all this IoT and sort of transactions away from the cloud, in other words, if you're doing a transaction at a, just paying for your parking ticket, they don't have to send it all the way up to the main chain or in the cloud. They sort of do these transactions small right there on location, and they call that the fog. And Cisco seems to be ahead on that. So some of this blockchain thing, I think, some of this blockchain stuff could be good for Cisco. Oh, by the way, I am not a financial analyst. I'm telling you what I do and what I believe. Hopefully that helps you make decisions on what you do. I'm not telling you to buy anything. I'm not getting paid for any of this. I don't care if you listen to me or not. I am just sharing with you what I believe, and hopefully as one point of value, you know, you can use that. And then there may be, it looks like it might be starting this year, this buzz about using blockchain so that existing companies increase in value. So for example, some supply chain company is going to move all their data to a blockchain and the stock goes up on speculation. That may happen, but I think the real possible companies actually saving lots of money or doing amazing new things, and I'm talking about stocks, by using this technology, which may have nothing to do with coins, but the stock, in other words, uses some technology to improve their business. I think that's probably more 2019 other than these, but not sure. Okay, last points here is the other thing to watch in 2018, 19, 20 is government. So they've had a lot, government has enjoyed, especially the U.S. government has enjoyed a monopoly on a world currency for a long time. And not only do they think that's good for them financially, they believe that if they lose this, terrorists will destroy the world. So the question is really, does the government fight, join, or continue to ignore? It's been sort of ignore. I mean, they're aware of it, but they're just like, I don't know what this thing is. I have some optimism that they will try to join, but they may come out and fight it. Keep in mind, I think the lesson I learned this year is that the governments cannot stop this. I think they sort of tried with Bitcoin for a minute there, and China's attempts to completely shut down something has resulted in absolutely nothing. I mean, it was a blip. So I don't think there's much, and plus our government, as much as all the conspiracy theorists out there think, it actually is, there's a fair amount of intelligent people who understand that new technologies come and we need to go with it. I'm not saying they'll be on the bleeding edge, but I'm optimistic in this in the end. In the short run, it could be this. Remember when the internet came out, Congress tried to censor it multiple times. Presidents signed censorship bills, and then finally, after the third time, the Supreme Court came to our defense and saved the internet from Congress. They won, but also, how does it win? Maybe it's courts. So anyways, this is something clearly to watch. But if government comes down hard on crypto, it might be a buying opportunity because it depends what it is. But we got to keep our eye on that. Okay, now, I guess, and then taxes, someone asked I was going to talk about. I am not an accountant. I ask my accountant for everything. I don't make decisions on my own on this stuff. As everybody says, ask an accountant about taxes, blah, blah, blah. I don't want to be in trouble. Please do not say, Dave told me to do this, and that's why I did it. Again, I'm not an accountant, but I will tell you what I believe. First of all, if you buy and hold and you don't sell it, you don't have to pay any taxes. And coincidentally, it's the easiest way to do things, and it makes you the most money. So first of all, just try not to sell anything. You don't have to worry about it. There's a recent law that was passed, again, ask an accountant, but many people / accountants are saying there's new law that says that you have to record every single transaction. The difference is when I'm in stocks, have some money on E-Trade, they send me at the end of the year a list of everything that happened. They got the totals at the bottom. The government looks at it. I pay the percentage. I don't have to do anything. On these exchanges, you're not getting this information. They're not, so you're supposed to keep track of it all. So that is a tricky business. Now the other thing, and again, I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I want to be able to share some information here, which is my thought is the reality is here. If you're dealing with $100 or $200 and you do a couple trades in 2018, you're not on the top of the government's list. So don't freak out about balancing everything to the penny because you're trading, like if you buy Bitcoin and send it to, Bittrex and you buy Stellar 4 hours later and there's some difference, it's like, listen, it's tricky stuff. But depending on your, it's sort of, they're going to start, there's some big fish out there. The government, this is in the long run, one of the biggest fights is going to be, never mind fights, just how do you handle taxes? Because it's not going through central, it's decentralized, and it's going to get really tricky for the government, and they have $3 trillion in revenue that they don't want to lose. So, you know, like I said, buy and hold, keep track of stuff, and don't be so quick to sell and get your capital gains, report it, pay taxes. Just hold until it's enough money, and then you sell some for and you keep track of it. So, anyways, that's my advice there. And I come out also. I have videos. You can always find me at davelevine.com, and my YouTube is youtube.com/DaveLevine, DOTCOM, spelled out. So now I will do questions until they kick me out of here. What do we got? What do you think of Stellar launching decentralized such as Fairfax or PureX? When you say Stellar launching it, I assume somebody is launching a decentralized exchange on the Stellar network. I'm not familiar with those. Stellar platform, like I said, I'm not that. I just read something else today that somebody was doing on Stellar. What was it? Making it easy for remittance in that people don't actually get the money, but then they can spend it to merchants. And like I was reading about it, I'm like, okay, that sounds cool, but wait a second, I don't get it. Like, there's a lot going on in Stellar that I'm not 100% sure at this point what it is and how good it is. And the other thing is, a few months ago, I decided I'm just going to stay at home and study this stuff all day, or as much of days as I'm willing to. I dropped all other work projects. Still, I can't keep up with it. I mean, there's 5 new companies launch a day, and so it's tricky. So that I don't. What are your thoughts on the future of crypto ATMs? Well, I don't. To me, I guess it's someone who can't operate a computer so they can buy it through an ATM. But to me, it's if I could get dollars from my crypto, I think that would be significant, but that's not what it is. It's just you can buy it with an ATM. I don't understand why anyone cares unless you don't have a computer. I mean, what is a node? I think you should do some reading on the basics, like what is blockchain, how does it function. Read these beginner guides, read 5 beginner guides, and you'll start to understand it. And then, you know, what is a node is just a very basic technical thing that honestly I can't even explain. I mean, distributed ledger, the ledger is on each node, and it's distributed ledger means the ledger is everywhere. That's a simple explanation, but I would do some reading on just the technicals on this stuff. What is Sonam a good investment? So is there? It seems more people are getting hacked. Okay, so I want to make a new video on storage because I have some new thoughts on it to make it simple. But the bottom line is the blockchain itself is unhackable. But people are building things on top of the blockchain. Those, you know, if there's a mistake, can be hackable. So it gets tricky. Hardware wallet is totally safe if you don't lose your passwords. And anything else has a chance. I mean, I think in the long run, you have a very safe hardware wallet thing where you keep your real money, and then you have a way, and then maybe you send that to somewhere, you have some sort of sitting where it's a little easier to get to, and then you send a little bit to your phone, just like when you're going out at night, it's like, oh, I'm going to throw $50 in my wallet, I'll throw $50 to my phone, because that would be the least secure, right? You don't want to leave. You've got all your lumens that you bought at 20 cents. You don't want to have them all on your phone. So you have that somewhere safe, maybe somewhere else you can get to quicker. And then you're going out tonight, you're going to spend your lumens. We'll see when that happens. You throw that on your phone. That's how I think it'll work. Best place to buy. You know what? Honestly, open up accounts at all these exchanges. They all want all of your data. I'm sort of just, I don't think they're going to try to steal your identity. But you know, Bittrex is looking pretty good. This Binance everybody's on. I haven't gone on it yet, but they like have every coin. Poloniex has some stuff, but everybody hates them because the support is so slow. But you get a few things. It's, you know, just get accounts and figure out what you want to buy, and then figure out what exchange does a lot of trading on that. CoinMarketCap.com has that info. How much do you think Stellar will be worth? My analysis when I did that, I talked about valuation, and So I can do the comparison Stellar versus Ripple. That's a positive for Stellar in that it's much less than Ripple. I can look at the total valuation as 21 billion, and they're targeting markets that are hundreds of billions. So I like that. But what is it going to be tomorrow? Like, I don't know. And even 2018, it's sort of, a lot of it too depends on the liquidity of the market. And, in general, my outlook is when I think the Stellar platform and how easy and how many big things is it doing, 5 years from now, will it be doing a lot more? If so, then I want to have my coin in there. Same thing with Ethereum. If it's going to do 5 million transactions a year next year and continue on its 1,000% growth rate, well, yeah, I probably won't do too bad owning it. Is it going to triple again in the next 2 months? I don't know. But I like to own things that a few years from now are going to be more valuable, not in the price per se, but in the use of it, and a lot more transactions that are valuable. Heard of Polymath? Yes, are they the one that does the auditing? Right? Or is that... If it's the auditing of smart contracts, or they're trying to make it easy to do ICOs. ICOs, I didn't do enough research, but I'll just throw it out there. One thing I bet my research will return, but we'll see. I'll do a video on that soon. I think usually ICOs are peak hype, and if you like it, you can buy it 2 months later cheaper. Like most ICOs, that's the case. A lot of them, I looked at a few, not enough to conclude but the few I saw, it's here, 2 months later it's here. And then if it's good, it comes back. And some of them it's here and it goes down and that's the end of it. So you don't have to be the first one in. And so anyways, if it's, I can't remember Polymath. What else do we got here? Fairfax, so working on Elastic. There's a lot going on there. What else? Any other questions here? Want to just scroll through? Maybe I'll quickly. Tron, let me just say something about this. This week is Tron and Icon. Like, there is the coin of the week, which means that somebody on their marketing team is really good with marketing and they're getting everybody all fired up. If Tron is good, do not buy it this week. Maybe it's an ICO and that's why, but then wait 2 months. It's just peak hype. I tried to look at the Tron website, couldn't figure out in 5 minutes what it was. It may be awesome. But the fact that I got 1,000 questions this week asking about Tron and Icon tells me that those two this week are overvalued. Now, they may be great later, and they may be great in the long run. But right now, don't follow the hype show. Like stuff, when I was telling everybody about Stellar, now I'm still telling people about Stellar, but not like I was. When the market cap was 500 million or under that, I was telling people this thing looks really good. Like, be excited when nobody else is. That's where the real, money is. But do you recommend any icons? Oh, I'm going to do another video. I suppose you guys want to stop live. I was going to do one now after the live show. I don't think they want to do this all day long with me live. My next video I'm going to do here that they'll put on the course is who to follow. Who are the leaders in the space? How can you, learn more beyond Tai's course? And that's the next video I will be making, if that's what you mean by icons. XLM price for the end of March. You cannot be, someone's asking, what is Stellar going to be at the end of March? Like, first of all, if you're a long-term investor, if you're not a long-term investor, like, none of this matters. Like, you need to be looking on Reddit and what's hype and how long do things stay hype. I don't know. I'm a long-term investor. Thinking 5 years, you can look at price to determine when is a good day to buy. It's better to buy it at 66 than it is at 92, where it was 2 days ago. But what's it going to be in March? I don't know, and I don't really care. I mean, it's nice to see the price up, and I don't want it to go back to 10 cents, but at the same time, what I care about is that the story is right. There's more transactions, banks are loading up. They're using the XLM on trades. There's these other businesses launching that are working. That's what I'm looking for. And price will follow. Price will follow fundamentals. Top 5 to stay away from. Okay, so first of all, BitConnect, it looks like a scam. At the best, it's ridiculous. You don't even know who. Never invest in something where the founder is hidden and you're lending that person money. What other coin? I mean, you know, honestly, I'm very like, I don't like most investments. Just like I sort of don't like them all, other than the ones I tell you I like. Is Tron? I don't know what the heck Tron is. It's certainly hyped up this week. The other thing I've been saying, there seems to be a commodity coin with a little privacy every week. Verge was the one 2 weeks ago. It's just like Tron. Maybe it's that is what it is. It's a coin and it has some privacy. To the moon, baby, Lambos. Like, I'm not buying that. Hard to find an all-purpose wallet. Hardware wallet. The Treasure and Nano hardware wallet. And one thing I know I'm going to do in my storage video when I get to it is, Brock Pierce says, you know, use 2 hardware wallets. Good, but don't get too intimidated. Like, put your coins on one hardware wallet, get that set, take a nap, then you can get another hardware wallet and set it up. Like, just don't. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm just saying I think people get a little freaked out, like, or get a little intimidated. So that is the safest way. Is keep it in the hardware wallet. And you're not spending. Everyone wants a wallet on their phone. Like, what do you? If you want to trade, like, you shouldn't be day trading. Like, just only trade when you go to your computer. You don't need it on your phone. What are you doing? You're not spending it, right? So I wouldn't worry about those. On-chain and side-chain. So the Ethereum or Bitcoin blockchain is so Bitcoin updates the confirmation every 10 minutes. And this is rock solid, secure. Once it's on the chain, it is trusted. It can't be changed forever, and it's secure. It can't be hacked. That's on the chain. Problem is, for all that security, it's a little slower and maybe expensive. So for sidechain, right, I was going to explain this. Good question. You've got the main blockchain here, and transactions are coming in, right? I guess if it's a chain, it's more of a line, right? I don't know why I made that a circle, because I saw it somewhere as a circle and it looked cool, but I think it's more like this. Well, and so you get a transaction, and then another one, and another one, and another one. So here's the transactions go up. Now let's make one transaction, and if I'm wrong on this, please, there may be someone out there who really understands side chains. If I'm wrong on this, please message me, let me know, because I'm still making sure I understand this. But I believe you do one transaction that says, within the next 5 days, so some period of time, I will do no more than 100,000 transactions for a value no higher than $100,000, or it would probably have to be in Ether, right, if it's on Ethereum, or let's say it's Lightning on Bitcoin, for no more than 100,000 Bitcoin. That's a lot of money. Let's make it 10 to be a little less crazy. So this is one entry in the blockchain. Now, this company has its own chain going. And so now it doesn't have to go back. These blocks are every 10 minutes. And, you know, people complain. It's like $30 or whatever. So now, for $30, I can, for 5 days, and maybe you don't want to be so crazy, do 1 day. For 1 day, I can do all this. Now you've got your own little blockchain, and you're just you're cranking these things out. At maybe it's like, you know, there's things 10,000 per second for free because you don't have to get in here. Then the next day, now you make an entry. Well, I guess now that then you do an entry again here to close this out and say, okay, it was actually, you know, this thing is closed within a day. I actually did 95,000 transactions for a total of 5,000 Bitcoin, and that's closed. And this contract is closed out. So now, instead of going to the main chain, which is slower and more expensive, every single transaction, you're only going, in this case, once a day. Maybe you have a thing where it's once an hour, whatever, and it's a lot easier to get speed and low cost on the side chain. This is, so Lightning Network and Plasma, that is how we will get the speed. And this is the thing that EOS needs to worry about. EOS is going to be faster because it has these data centers, but maybe sidechain sort of solves that problem. I don't know. So, let's see, what's the difference on chain? Sidechain, okay. Scroll up, I'm at the bottom one there. ICO, I ignore ICOs. I think this whole, it used to be, it used to be angel investor, venture capital, private equity, then the Wall Street banks, and then friends and family on the IPO, and then the IPO, and then later in the day, I could buy it, right? Now, I can buy it anywhere along there. I like sort of the venture capital moment. ICO is often like angel investing. It's like too early for me. And also, you get maximum hype. So I avoid ICOs. That's not to say some of them really, it's, you know, if you could only get in on the ICO, and this could change over time. People start getting bored of ICOs, and then it becomes a good idea. But right now, anything that's an ICO, I'll look at it, and if I like it, I'll look at it again in 3 months and maybe buy it. EOS, the ICO original, it started at like $4, went to 50 cents. Now it's at 8. So it's fine if you got it at 4, you held it at 8, but you would have been better off waiting 3 or 4 months until the hype died down. Everyone was forgetting about it. Like a month before they launched on the testnet, you know, it was at a low. What's the importance of volume? The main importance with volume is that, first of all, if the volume's too low, the pricing could just be inaccurate. The other thing is that you're not trying to trade more than the volume. And for most of us, we're probably not moving markets, although, you know, maybe some people have a lot of money, but if you want to buy 10,000 lumen and they only do 10,000 a day, you're going to move the price, right? So you don't want to do that. So you want to go to an exchange that has the most volume. They're doing 5 million of lumen a day. You're buying 10,000, but still you can look at the buy and asks and how many, you know, someone's willing to sell it at this price and they're willing to sell 1,000 of them. And you want to buy 10,000, maybe just buy 1,000 from that one guy at that price. And then the things go and you buy in chunks. So you just don't want to start moving the market by trying to buy a lot at some price. And what do you mean by hardware wallet? Look up Trezor, Trezor, and now Nano, I think there's a Nano S, but I think there's different letters. I think the one I got was a Nano S. You know, they have it on Amazon. Look it up, see how it works, you know, read about it. YouTube videos are good for like some of this stuff. People ask me, you know, when you have these how-to, you know, just how to use this, how to use my Ether wallet, there'll be like 20 videos out there on how to do these things. My advice is watch like 3 of them. Because first of all, you want to make sure you don't get one person who's just an idiot and they're wrong. If you see 3 and they're all kind of saying the same thing, you're in good shape. If you see 3 and someone has something different, maybe watch a 4th. And that'll give you a good, then you go in yourself and you read the directions, you'll probably figure it out. For a lot of this stuff, you're buying, you're storing, it's a good thing to do in the morning. You're not going to have interruptions. You just got your coffee, you sit down and get into it, not get interrupted. Don't try to do it when, right before you go out for dinner. What do you think about Bitcoin? No idea what it is. Rumor going to rip. I think we did that one at the beginning. Blackwater Steel for Stellar. Don't know anything about it. I try to look up as many of these things as I can. Get information to ICOs. Yeah, I talked about ICOs. I think that's an eToro exchange. Never even heard of it. I would start with, again, CoinMarketCap. You can look at the different exchanges, see what the biggest ones are. You can also pick the coin you want and see which exchanges have the most volume. Utrust, I think Consensus, Joseph Lubin, super smart. I think he's with the Utrust, right? Anything they're trying to do if that launches, I don't know. What is your point on Litecoin? To me, is one of these. It's just a coin. To me, eventually, it's a commodity. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It works, and it is on exchanges as opposed to a lot of these new ones that you can't even send them anywhere. It's fine. I don't think it's going to zero. It's not going away, but I find it boring. All right. Yes. See you on February 9th. I'm all excited. What about mining? I talked about that. Electronium. Oh my God. I can't remember. Can't remember what that is. Finally decide. When do you decide to sell? It's when the story is no longer true, or so I think Stellar starts handling lots of international transactions. I think that IBM is ramping up this year, bringing banks on, and a lot of transactions are going to happen. As long as I believe that, I'm not selling. If I start to see IBM and then it's this and then that didn't happen the way I thought and then the transaction and I learned some new things, now I'm like, oh shit, I'm not as confident. Now maybe I want to get out of it. I only sell when I determine I'm wrong. Possibly in a number of years something reaches like its maximum point and it can't really grow anymore and there are other opportunities out there. We're very far from that. Now it's about, are you right or not? And you watch the story. As long as you're right, just hold it. Trading in this game is crazy. I shouldn't just say it's crazy. It's just very difficult. When it's going straight up, I have a friend, he's like, oh, I just sold Ether, it was at 960. It's like, now you got dollars, you have plenty of dollars. Like, just ask anybody who's owned Bitcoin when they sold it and how much they made, if they're happy they sold it. They're not. And that seems to be the truth. If I was a trader, when Stellar shot to, I don't know, 30 cents that day, I was like, holy crap, is this thing moving? I better take some money off the table. As my father always tells me, I said, I'm holding. So that's what I do. And if that changes, well, yeah. 100 years from now, where do you see the world with blockchain? Listen, fine, I will answer that. In the 90s, we said all content, be it books and information and commerce, is going from analog to digital. And that is happening. Now, all value transfer is going digital, whether it's money and almost all, well, and database, which is already digital, is being will take on some of these properties of security and cryptography. So this gets built up. But where are we going to be in 100 years? I mean, that's a crazy question. I don't mean you're crazy. I'm just saying to try to describe. I have enough trouble describing what's going to happen in 2018, let alone 2118. For the average, best source of income for investing. Trading is not income. Trading is just, I think, a mistake when you're investing. If you need to make income, just figure out a way to make income. Ty's got 20 courses on that. I think SSMA, by the way, is that social media marketing? That's what I tell people. Someone wants to start a business. I don't think it's easy. It's probably a ton of work, and you got to get out there and bang on doors. But I think that's a way you could actually start a business that makes sense to me. But I don't know, work in a restaurant, which is a horrible, and weekends, and you make money and start investing. So I don't think crypto is income. I talked about these ways you could earn interest on your coins with staking or doing these other things. And that, in a way, could be considered income, I guess. But it's not dollars that you can spend. I think all of this crypto right now, you got to think buy and hold. I don't think this stuff it's liquid in that you can sell it, but it's, because of what's happening in the market, I think I prefer to just hodl. Is that all? All right. Thank you very much. Again, if you want to see any of my videos, youtube.com/Dave Levine, DOTCOM. And also, I hope to keep contributing here, Tai Lopez, and on the Facebook. So please let me, and anything I said, if I'm getting something wrong, let me know. And I get inspired on what to talk about by the things you guys ask me or request. And I do some research, so love the feedback. Thank you.